Ever wondered about the intense dynamic between Russia and the USA, and how it shapes global affairs? These two countries have long been on opposite sides of major international disputes, and it seems like every century, their paths intersect in intriguing ways. The year 1991 marked the end of the Cold War, when tensions between these superpowers were at their peak. It was red versus blue back then, but since then, both nations have focused on boosting their military strengths and updating their forces. So, what happens when we compare their military power and strategies, especially under the current leaderships of Putin and Biden? Grab your popcorn, because we're about to dive into the world of these two superpowers. Let's jump right in. NATO. First, let's break down what NATO is and why it's important in the context of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. NATO, or the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, is an intergovernmental military alliance that brings together over 30 countries from Europe and North America. It's all about collective defense. If one member is attacked, the rest have their back. So when Russia launched an offensive against Ukraine, it caught the attention of NATO and its allies. Clash of the Titans, military might of the US and Russia. Alright, let's jump right into the world of military might. Since forever, the United States and Russia have been the top dogs when it comes to military power. It's the kind of thing that keeps people on their toes globally. These two megapowers each play a unique role on the world stage, and come armed with impressive military force and influence. Both countries have massive arsenals and plenty of high-tech weapons, fighter jets, submarines, and tanks to go around. These aren't your average tools of war. They're top-of-the-line, cutting-edge stuff designed to give each country a strategic edge. When it comes to budget allocations, the US tends to spend a hefty chunk of change on its military, more than any other country in the world. This hefty budget covers everything from new tech development to maintaining bases around the world. On the other hand, Russia doesn't spend as much, but they make up for it with a focus on cost-effective strategies and a resourceful use of what they've got. The US has a smaller active-duty military, but compensates with superior training, better technology, and a strong reserve force. Russia, meanwhile, boasts a larger active-duty military, with a tradition of robust ground forces ready for deployment. All in all, while both countries are superpowers with immense military strength, their approaches and strategies can be quite different. It's a complex relationship of budget, assets, and personnel that keep the world watching in awe and a bit of worry. Army versus Air Force. Let's find out how the US and Russia stack up when it comes to their Air Force and Army capabilities. Starting with the skies, the United States leads the world with a whopping 3,318 combat aircraft. Compare that to Russia's 1,900 jets, and the US takes a solid 75% lead over the rest of the world. It's not just combat aircraft where the US takes the cake either. When it comes to attack helicopters, America boasts a massive fleet of 6,417, while Russia has just 1,655. That's a four-fold difference. The US definitely shows its air superiority here, and demonstrates an unparalleled ability to project power worldwide. Now, switching gears to the Army, Russia flips the script. They've got the US beat big time in terms of main combat tanks. The United States Army has 8,725 tanks in total, but Russia's military fleet of 22,710 tanks blows that number out of the water. That's more than 3 times as many. Russia's focus on land warfare and its readiness for large-scale conventional confrontations are evident in this strategic advantage on the ground. Fiscal plan and defense expenditures. All right, let's talk money. When it comes to defense budgets, the US and Russia are worlds apart. The United States throws a whopping $682 billion into its defense budget. That's a mind-blowing amount. Russia's budget, on the other hand, is far smaller, sitting at $93.76 billion. This massive difference really shows the US commitment to staying on top of its military game around the world. The huge budget also shows just how much the US values its military and is willing to spend big to keep its forces in tip-top shape. This level of investment allows the US to maintain cutting-edge technology, fund global military operations, and keep its military personnel well-trained and equipped. Meanwhile, Russia's budget, though smaller, still allows them to focus on strategic priorities and maintain a strong military presence. The key difference is the scale and resources each country can dedicate to their defense. In short, US takes the lead in terms of sheer financial investment in its military, while Russia has to make do with a more limited budget. Forces of the Navy and Marines. When it comes to naval power, the United States and Russia each have their strengths and strategic focuses. Let's break it down. First up, the US leads the pack when it comes to nuclear submarines. With 71 in its arsenal, America far surpasses Russia's 33 subs. This big advantage shows the US dedication to dominating the seas and projecting power with a strong underwater force. These subs play a key role in strategic deterrence, helping the US maintain its edge across the world's oceans. But here's where Russia takes the lead: corvette vessels. Russia has a fleet of 70 of these smaller, nimble warships, while the US has just 2. This significant difference suggests that Russia's naval strategy leans more towards utilizing agile and versatile vessels that can navigate tighter waters and serve various tactical purposes. So in the Navy, it's clear that the US and Russia have different strategies. The US focuses on dominating with nuclear subs for strategic deterrence, while Russia goes for more versatile warships, like corvettes, to handle a variety of missions. It just goes to show how these two superpowers play to their strengths in different ways. Conscription system and personnel. When it comes to sheer numbers, Russia has a higher military per capita than the US, with 10.15 personnel for every 1,000 people. Compare that to the US's 5.22 individuals for every 1,000 people, and Russia's got the numbers edge. Russia's paramilitary forces also dwarf the numbers of the US, boasting 449,000 compared to just 11,035 in the US. That's a huge gap. Now, let's look at how they build those forces. The US leans heavily on voluntary recruitment and high-tech solutions to maintain a skilled and efficient military. This approach focuses on quality over quantity and gives the US a strategic edge with advanced training and technology. On the flip side, Russia still uses conscription to maintain a larger standing force, which signals a focus on readiness and scale. By relying on mandatory service, Russia ensures a robust pool of personnel ready for action at any moment. In the end, these different approaches reflect each country's priorities and strategies. The US aims for a smaller but highly capable force, while Russia opts for a larger standing military to maintain readiness and strength in their numbers. Both strategies have their advantages and challenges, showing just how these two superpowers approach military personnel differently. The Index of World Peace. The United States scores a 2.13 on the index. while Russia's score is a higher 3.06. So what does this mean? Essentially, a higher score indicates more unrest or conflict within a country's borders and its sphere of influence. The difference in these scores hints at the challenges Russia faces with ongoing geopolitical issues and regional conflicts. From tensions in negotiating neighboring areas to various military engagements, Russia's higher index score reflects these complex situations. On the flip side, the US has a slightly lower score, suggesting a relatively more stable situation when it comes to peace and conflict. That doesn't mean there aren't issues, but the US typically experiences fewer direct military conflicts on its own soil compared to Russia. These scores give us a snapshot of the peace and conflict landscape within these two superpowers. It's an important perspective to keep in mind when considering the broader geopolitical dynamics each country navigates. We've seen how these two countries have very different takes on using military force, and the comparison makes it clear. The US excels in air and sea power with a huge defense budget and far-reaching global influence, while Russia shines with its land-based capabilities and manpower, plus its big impact in the region. These contrasts aren't just random, they're shaped by history and different strategic approaches. As these superpowers keep playing big roles on the world stage, their unique strengths and strategies are going to shape how international diplomacy and security evolve. Thanks for tuning in. If you found this interesting, make sure to like this video and subscribe to stay updated with more content on global affairs and military insights. Share your thoughts in the comments below.